Okay, we are live. Welcome everybody, to the ones here, to the ones watching. We have a beautiful group coming together in Brazil, in Germany, Uganda, and the USA. And this dialogue is going to be facilitated by Rajão. And the title of it is Collective Memory. And with that, Rajão, here I pass the word over to you. If you guys need anything, just write here in the private chat. And 10 minutes before closure, I'll just remind us of the time for us to wrap it up. Have a wonderful dialogue. Bye bye.
Thank you. Well, hello everyone. My name is Pedro Rajão. It's a pleasure for me to be here, sharing with you some of this big concern that has been actually the achievement of a dream in a work that I've been doing in Rio, which is basically a graffiti project that we call NegroMuro, uh, literally the BlackWall. But basically, we make public art, graffiti and uh, muralism, if I may, of black figures, black historical people that that were responsible for historical facts, or even people that are not very famous in their own place where they used to live. And how does that has an impact on the self-esteem of that community, of the sense of identity, and how the new generations, that children and teenagers that are passing by that place every day and don't have any idea that they actually live where a determined historical fact has taken place, or some of our heroes have been living. you know um, I live in Rio de Janeiro, and I don't know how much aware you guys are with Brazilian history or even Rio history, but at a certain point, Rio was the biggest slavery port in the world in the late 17th century. And for that, we were responsible as well for most of the. Um, I'm sorry, it's been a long time. I don't speak in English for that long. But Rio was actually responsible, the port of Rio was actually responsible to redistribute the black ships throughout the country and also Americas. So at this same point, we were the capital of the Portuguese Empire, because the Portuguese emperor has escaped from Napoleon, so he came to Rio de Janeiro and brought all the aristocracy that was running away from Napoleon forces to here. So you were at the same territory, at the same place. This massive slave trade, and Rio as the point of reunion of all those ethnical groups that were coming from Africa, and at the same time, the whole rich Portuguese elite that was running away from Europe coming to here. So it has uh, it has built the the way the people from Rio, we call it cariocas, the people that live in Rio, it has built much of the way that we behave and how we treat, racially each other. Uh, because even though Brazil is the biggest black country out of the African continent, there is still many struggles, racially speaking, within the black people in itself, in terms of self-understanding as blacks, in terms of having access to documents, and for you to track where you came from, what was the name of your ancestors, and everything else. So I'm saying all this for you to understand a little bit of the scenario, historical scenario of a city that has a major impact on the diaspora. culturally speaking as well. And much of our culture is actually known for the beach culture, the music and the carnival and all those cliches that don't actually show what was the true roots of this identity. Let's put it this way. And if you analyze how much of our, I think the world is all discussing now which monuments we want to have in our cities, right? Especially in England and in the United States. For us in Brazil, it has been very repeated in the media. Statues being destroyed or names of streets being changed, and it has also been echoing in here in different ways. But it's actually 80% of the names of streets, bridges, and big roads and statues are for white men that belong to the army or the church, the Catholic Church uh, charges. There's almost 6%, I think, for black people and 2% for women. So as we see as well the graffiti art as a black art that is originated from the hip hop culture. For many people, this is not very clear in here, but that's something that we are also trying to discuss with them. Uh, we make our homages for these historical people throughout the graffiti in public walls, and we always invite the families, they're related to those figures, for come and to talk about the time where they used to live in there. Why is it important for them to keep that memory there? So it's it's a visual project, but I'm only speaking, so it's difficult. I'll try to show some videos uh, later for you to understand a little bit of the um, statical, propose. But we've been it's been already 25 walls in the city. Um, it's a project that's been going on for 4 years already, and the last year has been the most intense because uh, surprisingly, actually, we are at the most horrible moment for you to work with culture in Brazil. You must be aware of the terrible president that we have, and the cultural ministry was the first one to be cut of the budget. So he's always attacking the black culture, attacking the black African religions in Brazil, and it's a big challenge for us to be in the streets. He's very connected to the police forces and the corrupt side of the police forces. So, for example, one of the characters that we have painted 3 years ago was Marielle Franco, that deputy that was killed. I think you must uh, you know Marielle. You guys know her. Marielle Franco was a city deputy that was killed. She was a black LGBTQA plus deputy that was killed 3 years ago, and all the investigations lead through a very intimate connection between our president and the guy who killed her. For example, they used to live in the same streets. They have photos together. His car was in the president's house at the same day that the killer went to kill her at the end of the day. Anyway, she became a very big icon of the black struggle, the black movement in Brazil, and we painted her the day after she was killed at a place at a neighborhood in the central. part of the city, and it took us a day, like 9, 10 hours, to draw the whole picture. And the police car stopped by and said that they would shoot her again if they could for us. So it's a very uh, hard situation in these terms. And our president is a very racial, very fascist kind of person. This is the worst thing that we could have ever produced as a chief of state. And he's from Rio as well, so all the investigations are connecting them, and it's dangerous for you to put some homage for this kind of figure. Uh, but anyway, this is one side of the work, and the brightest side is that we have been invited to paint public schools, and our project is already at the pedagogical books of the official books of the public schools network. And the next one that we are going to paint is a black writer called Lima Barreto. And the project now is not only being in charge of painting public walls. We proposed for the mayor to put official signs saying that that historical figure used to live in here, since the 1885, blah blah blah. And we're being very excited to actually draw a map of those figures that for a lot of people has been actually hidden from people to know about their own place, their own community. Um, Let me see if I can uh, share with you a video so you guys could understand a little bit better what I mean. Let me see here. This is one of the first ones that we painted. I had to speak about this whole historical context because we don't know how much that internationally that this is well known. So I'm sorry if I went too long at this historical. Um, Let me see. Okay, can you guys see this? Is this sound working? No. Well, here I'm speaking about the connection of the territory, the neighborhood where they're being painted, and their protagonism as black figures of Brazilian history. This is Marielle Franco, the deputy I was talking about. This is Cartola, is a samba composer. Well, um, yeah. Well, that was just an example of the first walls that we painted. There, we've been we've been very active since then. There was like 10 others that I would love to show as well. But basically, that is the scope of how it worked. And one of the one of the ones that I'm most proud of what we've done. Speaking of collective memory, it's from João Cândido. João Cândido was a leader of a riot that happened within the Navy, the Brazilian Navy, 100 years ago, and basically, uh, he was the best. He's not a sailor, but the guys that commands the big ships. He's not a pilot as well. I forgot the word, but I guess you understand. He went to England to learn how the ships were being built, and he was the one in charge of driving them back to Brazil. At that time, it was only uh, 50 years since the abolishment of slave trade has happened in Brazil. Brazil was the last country of the world, as far as I know, that abolished the slave trade. It was actually only in 1888. So 90% of the of the sailors at the Navy, Brazilian Navy, were black, and it was still very recent, but still it was 60 years. So they were still punished inside the ships with whip lashes, and it was for the very like full reasons, like bringing cards to play or some alcohol within the ships. Uh, they would be whipped for these very stupid reasons, and one of them was whipped 250 times, and he actually died in front of the whole soldiers. So they actually kidnapped the boats and threatened the government to actually open fire at of the president's palace if they wouldn't stop the whipping um, the I'm sorry, I'm reading the chat. That's why I'm taking long. I will open for dialogue. I'm just telling this story for this historical leader, a black leader. He's actually a hero of Brazilian recent history, and he was forgotten by everyone. He's not recognized as such officially by the Navy until today. And we painted his own house at a very distant suburb of Nova Iguaçu, of São João de Meriti in Rio de Janeiro, the place where his son still lives. And his son is 83 years old. And since the day that we inaugurated the wall, the painting, the president of the State Assembly of Rio went there, and he put it as a bronze sign at the wall, recognizing the place as a historical site. And there's a museum of João Cândido being discussed politically to be built. And it was after this articulation that we, at a certain way, we have influenced. And now the city tourism secretary went there and included the wall at the official tour. And anyway, it's one of the walls that we are most proud of. And anyway, it has been produced many uh, many scenes, many things that happen. For example, João Cândido, this hero I'm talking about, his son is a old man of 83 years old, and he was in the streets with us during the process of painting, explaining for the children. And it is a very poor suburb of Rio, explaining for the children that was there just playing football or whatever who his father was, because they were seeing the graffiti being made, and we always put some music to play, so it facilitate the dialogue with the kids, and they were telling their parents about João Cândido, who he was, and that he used to live in the same streets as them 60 years ago. So it has, officially at the school, at the tourism secretary, whatever, and non-officially, but with the people itself, learning about their own community and their own heroes that they badly listen to at the official curriculum at school. And well, this is basically an experience of public art, and that has transcended the art scope, and being like a tool for collective memory in a way, with this racial uh, uh, goal. So, well, I could be talking for hours, but I guess I don't want anyone to sleep as well. And I hope it has uh, touched you in a way. I don't know if you would like to share something, or make questions. Uh, Breno told me that it would be good to suggest to open the dialogue. So I guess that's it. And if anyone would like to add something or share some experience from it. My question, of course. Well, my question is basically, how does art, especially, can, and directed for this public art, for this collective memory feeling, how can that inspire us and influence us at this collective knowledge, this collective sense of belonging and identity? How can the art help us to know better about our community, our ancestors, and that's basically it. You could.
Thank you, Rahul, for sharing that deep historic information. And I'm Indian, so I connect very deeply to um, places and countries like yours, even though I've not visited it, because I feel there is this consistent parallel reality in countries that are sort of within the bracket of the third world, or not the first world, basically. And I feel there's this undercurrent of racism and slavery and consistent patterns of trauma that have been collected within our memories over time. And it's incredible how, you have picked to talk about very specific Black leaders, right, in that environment that you're in. But I feel like there's so much within art overall, that, through the visual arts, I'm a sound artist and I work with compositions, frequencies that are connected to planetary mathematical ratios that help us align into a state of resonance as soon as we experience it. And so I feel like there's so much uh, information that we can tune into from a visual, auditory, and kinesthetic perspective through the arts, that has information beyond words, and we spend so much of our time just talking and trying to express ourselves through language. But actually, the real information that really stays with our memories, collective memories, is through the arts. And it is that part of the subtle information that the arts reveals over time. Like for a sound artist, it's more intangible than visual arts. The sound plays, it plays through air, and it disappears once the time of the piece of music is finished for the moment. But with visual art, it's like presented and representing a specific memory or specific information for a long period of time. So, from my perspective, I'm always trying to find ways in how to make the intangible tangible, because from a visual perspective you can still see something far in the distance, but from an auditory perspective it travels much deeper in the nervous system and in the brain body connection, because it's connected so deeply to our memories from the time we're born, because it's the first vibration of sound is the first sense we actually start to receive in the human, sort of in the fetus. In 18 weeks we start to hear sound vibration through the amniotic fluid. It's then only after 9 months we go into air, through our physical form being created in life. So there's all this information in the subconscious mind that is there within our memory bank, in our collective memory bank. And it obviously depends on what kind of environment you've been raised in, what kind of situation you've experienced as a child that's kind of held that memory. And most times, it's not very positive. Sometimes it's extremely positive, sometimes it's not. So we have this very weird ebb and flow in this world of very inconsistent memories. And I feel like the arts has this really, really powerful role, that it can help us get to a level of equilibrium, especially with sound, in the way that it's connecting to your nervous system. It really resets you to a place of balance. And I feel like the more and more we actually work through these spaces and places of listening, of seeing, of kind of integrating the arts, we can really have collective change of consciousness and transform our memories. And really going into political stuff of, talking about what you said, the police comes and says we would even shoot her again. I mean, that's the amount of intensity people are holding within their memories that need healing. And so the sad part that I feel is we always have this challenge of funding within the arts. Like, how do we get what we want out there? Because we know it's impacting people in a positive light. That if there was a way, from my perspective, I think about it like this: if there was a way where the arts and education gets more intertwined, where it's not just you're learning a piece of instrument or you're learning a specific skill to become a specific artist, but it's more of a process driven, just like this dialogue process. It's more of a process driven approach. We would actually heal our memories and heal our brain in much faster ways than the way we are acting and working in the world today. So that's just where I'm coming from, just listening intensely. And actually, my little piece is a seahorse, because that's what represents the hippocampus in the brain. So I bring that back and bring it into collective memory field.
I believe the collective memory resides in the spirit, and the spirit is a unified field, and art has the capacity to activate this memory, either through sound, which you addressed as one of our first perceptions, and definitely through visuals. And the collective memory that's intrinsically woven into the spirit, it can be activated through things we perceive with our rational mind, such as history, classes, historic figures. But I feel ultimately it's something much deeper. And art, the more abstract it is, has the ability to trigger that memory in people. And once the memory is triggered, the potential of healing presents itself. Some people use the opportunity, some others use the opportunity to react, because even that is part of the process. But ultimately, art is a language that speaks to the spirit, and that's where the collective memory resides.
Oh, yeah. Oh, please, Leonard.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't know if Wendy wanted to go. So yeah, so first, hi everyone, and I just want to say that. Oh, okay. All right, Wendy, I'll let you go if you want. No worries.
Hi everyone. First, I kept getting kicked off, so I had every other word of everyone's, like 10 times in a minute, or okay, I'm exaggerating, 5 times. But so I will speak to the few things that I had you all share. In general, I think art, whether visual or audio, sparks a certain sense of belonging or identity. I don't know how to phrase it. So I'm Ugandan, and there are lots of different cultures within Uganda, different ethnic groups. There are over 90 languages, 90 different languages. So without even hearing or just seeing, or without seeing and only hearing, I can tell where a certain kind of art is from, which part of the country where a certain kind of art belongs to. And for me, the fact that I am able, whether unconsciously, I'm able to tell without speech that this kind of art belongs here, from that moment, from that scenario, I'm able to identify myself kind of art. Like if it's not from my part of the community, I'm able to tell it's from a different part of the community. If it's from mine, it depicts our sense of belonging or identity. I don't know if I'm making sense, but yeah.
So hi everyone. First of all, I want to say that I'm calling from Santa Barbara, which is the ancestral Chumash land, and I think it's very important to remind us also about the ancestors and where we are calling from. So muito obrigado, Rajão. I'm actually working on Marielle Franco for my research, and I did a short documentary about the mobilization in the carnival. So I've been filming the graffiti of Marielle in Rio de Janeiro, and it was very moving to see that not only the story can be told in the books, and of course like that mobilization in the curriculum to change the curriculum in the educational program, but also that the city is being mobilized as a site of memory, right, as a site of remembrance. The first thing that comes to my mind when I think about memorialization, because I'm researching the memorialization of assassinated anti-racist and feminist activists, is the idea of justice, that you cannot remove the idea of justice through this idea of collective memory. And all the statues that all over the world are being toppled right now, it's because this is a colonial aggression today to live in this visual imaginary of all those statues representing colonial oppression, and that finally, many people feel like there are new statues that should be told, but first, visually, we need to remove that colonial past. Justice is also the idea that as collective, I think we should move the border of the national borders and in terms of Black diaspora, transnational Black diaspora, what I'm researching is to see that Marielle Franco is being memorialized not only in Brazil, but also every time she's being memorialized in Europe or in the French Caribbean where I'm from, other figures of resistance are being celebrated. So I think that every time there is an effort, right, to memorialize and to bring in the international collective memory a specific figure, other figures are going to raise. So I do believe today that social networks, digital mobilization is also helping to broaden imaginary, because we can never have collective memory without opening up imaginary. And I think that the art, soundscape, mediascape are really using to push boundaries, because we can always extend and expand our imaginaries to new fields. But also I think that all those protests that we see today are part of not only the collective memory, but the idea of making archives. And this is a word that is, for me, very important. Who has the power to archive? Who has the power to create specific outlet for the future to be remembered? And I think that your work, Rajão, is not only art, but this is going to be a living archive for the future. And that people are going not only to remember what is being shown and how you're going to be presenting it, but the documentation of a specific project in those times, in those very hard times, in retreat of democracy in Brazil, is going to be a historical account for the next generation to remember not only those figures, but also the public, the population mobilization around it. So collective memories also goes with who has the power to archive. And I think that taking the street, taking online platform, but also being today in community with you and trying to bring different imaginaries and to put all our stories together, although we are coming from different spaces, is another way to create a transnational archive and a kind of a collective memory diaspora.
Well, that was amazing, man. It was amazing to know that we're so intimate to the memory of Marielle, and thank you everyone so much. I think every one of the testimonials that I heard have enriched my own sense of what collective memory is, and I'll certainly use that as well for my own activism in my own city. Wendy, I had a little bit of difficulty because I don't know if my internet was also not perfect, but I would like to hear you again, not if possible. But I can also, we can also do that. You know, it's being recorded anyway. But it's very moving for me because, in a way, all of us are in different kind of places of the world, but all of us are actually have our lives crushed by the colonization experience, right? So what our collective memories is very connected to what this whole tragic phenomenon has drawn in the world. And it's I really like Satya. Is it right to pronounce? It was very beautiful to hear what you said, because I remember that the first sense that we develop as a human being, it's actually listening, right? So you talked about the sound of the heartbeat of the mother, or of the digestive movements, whatever. And not everyone has the possibility to see, right? So whenever music has this power of also connecting you through your NDA, is that in English? NDA is also DNA, right? Your DNA is also touched by, you know, the memories that you carry in it, right? Through sound. I believe that. So it's not only the sounds that your mother heartbeat that makes us like the term certain types of music. It's I think it's deeper than that, and it's anyway. I think all of the everyone said it was very enriching for me. I really appreciate. Uh, I don't know if my English was very good at describing the whole thing, but I was a bit insecure about that. But it would be nice for me to also share some more of what we've done. I'm not sure if we have enough time. Let me see. There is a before samba. There is a different gender of African music called jongo, and we painted the singer Clementina de Jesus. That she's her first album was recorded when she was 64 years old, and she was like one of the biggest African Brazilian music singer. Went to Dakar Festival in the 70s, and a lot of people don't know where she was from, you know, and it is very close to the access to a favela, as I don't know how you call it in English, as a shanty town in Rio, a place where most of the artists don't go to, to make this kind of intervention, and it was very intense and beautiful to do this in there. Let me see if I can. Can you guys see this? Well, yes, of course. No, it was just. I think as it is a visual project, it would be nice for you to see a little bit of what we have done. Um, it's been as I told you, like the political scenario in Brazil. We have an extremist in power, and the attacks on the Afro-Brazilian religion and community are like official right now. There's no much sense of censorship and as we're doing this work, many people are actually asking about the carnival maintenance next year. You know, the carnival culture is something very big in Brazil. When we talk about collective memory, this is like religiously discussed, and is actually originally a religion. Um, Perhaps we do a checkout from everyone. Okay. Satya, please feel comfortable to. I was reading here. Sorry.
I think I'll just take that word and tune in to say that this has been really interesting for me as well to be with all of you. In fact, it would be great to connect after this dialogue is over, but um, unfortunately, I have to leave in a few minutes. So I just thought I will share a few little moments of words and sound and intention before I leave. That, I love how Malens, am I correct? Am I pronouncing your name correctly? Malens? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I loved how Malens, really shared that memory, collective memory is really within the spirit, and it's the spirit of our collective consciousness. And, from a sound perspective, because I always think sound, I live sound, I'm living that kind of perspective, is sound is unseen, it's felt. It's really something that's viscerally impacting us, even though we're sitting here in different completely parts of the world and complete different time zones as well. There is this interconnectivity between our sound vibrations right now that is creating an intention of collective memory and cleansing the collective memory through arts, through intention, through spirit, through research, through these platforms that Breno and the team are putting together for us to really even just connect and create this unseen energy that's creating little pockets of transformation. So I just feel honored and blessed to be a part of this. And I leave you all with a positive vibration of sound, art, memory, healing, and a better interconnectivity of our left and right hemisphere of our brains. Because we're always, the artists are in the art world, and the researchers are in their own world, and the business people are, and it just feels like there is an opportunity today, even more than before, where we can have an integration of different minds coming together to really create a new collective memory for the future. And so I'm going to leave all of you with that thought, that feeling, that intention. And I give the word back.
Satya, thank you very much for sharing this beautifully. Yes, Malins?
No, I thought you were leaving. I wanted to say goodbye to you. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Take care.
Yeah, goodbye, everyone. Pleasure. Thank you, Breno and team.
Thank you, Satya.
Thank you.
I also have to go. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure connecting. And Wendy, I'm such a big fan of your work. I respect your dedication and consistency. So thank you for doing what you're doing. And yes, thank you for sharing your artwork in Brazil. And Leonard, thank you for touching on what you're working on. I 100% agree on whatever you said and shared. So have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope we have the chance to speak soon again. Bye bye.
Thank you, Malins.
Thank you
Thank you,
too.
Mal.
Thank you. Bye bye.
I guess it's a bye from me as well. I'm so sad. I had just a little bit of the session because of my network. I kept getting kicked off, but yeah, I did learn quite a lot. So thank you all, Leonard and Roger. And the music you played in the video sounds very Mali, West African. It sounds, I don't know if you know Diawara, Mamadou. It sounds pretty much the same.
Yes, I'm a
So
big fan. Mamadou, Mariana, Chinari Wen, Alifarka Touré. I love Mali music. Yeah, well,
yeah,
there is a
I
connection,
do
right?
love Mali.
Yeah, there are
Sorry?
many. There's
Yes. So thank
there's
you.
an explicit connection. So it is African music with Brazilian accent.
Yeah. Thank you. So bye.
Bye, Wendy. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So I want to say also thank you. Muito obrigado, Rajão. There is one thing that is also very important for me because we keep on speaking about our responsibility, right, as being part of the diaspora.
Yes.
But I think and we know that our ancestors or our close generation, older generation, sometimes they didn't have the power to speak out, right? And we also have to transmit their silence. And this is also something that I do a lot in the work that I'm doing, like trying to understand why those silences sometimes were so strong and so pervasive. Like you cannot speak about slavery, you cannot speak about specific program that disempowered some communities because the families wanted to integrate, quote unquote, right? So I think that when we do that work, we also have to be very careful that those silence were something that we should also bring with us without shaming it, but on the contrary, to transform those silence, right? And to expand it to something that is like a creation, that is sound, as such I was saying. And there is one concept that I really love from this Caribbean thinker, Edouard Glissant. He's speaking about the talking landscape. That, for instance, in the French Caribbean, we have earthquake, right? And sometimes we also have hurricane, and all those expressions that in the landscape, they also say something to us, right? So the beauty of art and the beauty of imaginary is also to dive into those absences and to make the landscape talk. And after that, it was a beautiful quote for you because what you're doing is you make those walls talk. You make them spread. You make them sweat. And when I was in the carnival, that was beautiful to see those walls being expressed, right? Like people were drawing and then people were writing over it. And
Yes.
like stupid people trying to destroy the drawing, someone else was coming up and adding up something on that, right? And you can see that in the favela, na periferia também. So all those things, right? It's like beautiful to see all those different layers, and at the end, that creativity is always going to defeat, right, the oppressor. This is what I'm
yeah. This is basically the spirit of public art, right? It will have interference from other people because the streets are alive, right? It's a living organism, so people want to express themselves as well. People disagree with you. People sometimes hate what you're doing there, and that's actually what happens. And I think it even adds to it, all those layers of interferences. But when it's a political interference, for example, we painted this Mãe Beata de Iemanjá. It's a Yalorisha, right? It's a African preacher, and the guy has actually painted only like the earrings, the forgot in English, man, what you put in your finger, that symbolizes African roots and etc. The eyes of the fishes, of fish that we painted. So those ones we went there and painted again because it was just religious hate, But we must also recognize that graffiti is about this. It's about being open for interferences, and that is also nice for the process of art. But it was very nice for you to see,
right? So collective memory, you always correct, you always add something new, you always move new perspectives. So I think you're right, like always updating knowledge.
And that's how history is made, right? History in a way is always changing because the ones in power are telling the history. So we need to be the counter, alternative, and rewrite some of the parts. It's very annoying that it's gonna close, and I don't know when. But man, thank you very much for your patience and for adding so much. It was very nice to hear you and your experience with a Brazilian thing, a Brazilian phenomenon, Carnival and Marielle. It's very nice.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you Breno, thank you the Tales in Dialogue group, and as we said, Marielle presente.
Super, thank you, Leonard. Thank you, Rajão. So you all will be connected via email also with the other participants. So if you wish to still connect there, exchange, you'll have the opportunity to do so. I'll also send a little link there that you can write how the experience was for you. So that's it. Thank you, guys, and see you in a next one. Bye-bye.